The average American household throws away roughly a third of every watermelon they buy, tossing the rind straight into the trash. In Chinese, Middle Eastern, and Southern American kitchens, that same rind gets stir-fried, pickled, or turned into a vegetable side dish and has for generations. The difference isn't taste preference. I wanted to know what was actually being thrown away, so I stopped watching videos that all recommend the same 5 superfoods and went straight to the actual nutrition research, university food science studies, and clinical trials on watermelon rind specifically. And what I found was more interesting than anything I'd seen in a typical fruit video. It's 5 things this discarded white and green rind actually does inside your body, and one simple thing you can do with your very next watermelon that stops you from throwing away the most useful part. Let's talk about what those actually are. Finding number 1. Watermelon rind contains more of a specific amino acid than the red flesh most people actually eat. And this one compound alone can meaningfully support healthy blood flow and circulation. Here's something almost nobody talks about. Research out of Texas A&M University found that watermelon rind contains substantial concentrations of citrulline, an amino acid that's actually more concentrated in the white rind than in the sweet red flesh most people save and eat. Why does this matter for your body? Citrulline gets converted in your kidneys into arginine, and arginine is a direct building block for nitric oxide, a molecule your blood vessels use to relax and widen. Better nitric oxide production means smoother blood flow and less resistance in your circulatory system, which is part of why citrulline supplements have become popular in sports nutrition for supporting blood flow during exercise. The irony is that people are paying for citrulline supplements while cutting the natural source off their cutting board and throwing it directly into the trash. Think about how this shows up in a normal kitchen. Someone slices a watermelon for a summer barbecue, eats the sweet center, and discards the thick, pale rind without a second thought, unaware that the part they just threw away was arguably the more functionally interesting part of the fruit. Do this. The next time you cut a watermelon, save the rind instead of tossing it, and either blend a small piece into a smoothie or slice it thin for stir-frying. Finding number 2. Watermelon rind is quietly one of the more fiber-dense parts of the fruit, and almost nobody eats it for that reason. And this is where mistake number 1 shows up for most people trying to eat healthier. Here's something almost nobody talks about. Nutrition analyses of watermelon rind consistently show it contains meaningfully more dietary fiber by weight than the flesh, since fiber concentrates in the tougher, less sweet parts of fruits and vegetables rather than in the water-rich, sugar-rich center. Why does fiber from the rind matter specifically? Fiber isn't digested by your own enzymes. It travels down to your gut, where bacteria ferment it, producing short-chain fatty acids that support the lining of your intestines and help regulate inflammation throughout your body. A diet consistently low in fiber is linked to poorer gut bacterial diversity, and poor gut diversity has been connected in research to a wide range of downstream metabolic issues. The mistake most people make isn't avoiding fiber on purpose, it's unknowingly discarding one of the more fiber-rich parts of a fruit they already eat regularly, assuming the sweet flesh is the only edible part worth keeping. Picture someone who eats watermelon every week all summer, getting a reasonable amount of hydration and some fiber from the flesh, compared to someone doing the exact same thing, but also blending or cooking the rind into meals. The second person is quietly getting meaningfully more fiber from the same fruit, same trip to the grocery store, same money spent. Do this. Add a chunk of watermelon rind into your next smoothie, along with the flesh, where the mild flavor mostly disappears into the other ingredients. Finding number 3. The white part of the rind contains its own set of antioxidant compounds that the sweet flesh doesn't have in the same concentration. And this connects directly to how your body handles everyday oxidative stress, something almost nobody associates with a fruit rind. Here's something almost nobody talks about. Food science research on watermelon rind has identified flavonoids and phenolic compounds present in the rind, plant compounds known broadly for their antioxidant activity, meaning they help neutralize unstable molecules called free radicals that can otherwise damage cells over time. Why does this matter for your body specifically? Chronic oxidative stress, when free radical damage outpaces your body's ability to repair it, has been linked in research to accelerated aging processes and increased inflammation throughout tissues. The red flesh of watermelon is well known for containing lycopene, a powerful antioxidant carotenoid, but the rind brings its own separate set of protective plant compounds to the table, meaning eating both parts together gives you broader antioxidant coverage than eating the flesh alone. This is part of why traditional cuisines that use the whole fruit, pickling or stir-frying the rind alongside eating the flesh fresh, were unknowingly capturing a wider range of the plant's protective compounds than a diet that only ever touches the sweet center. Do this. The next time you're making a stir-fry or a quick pickle, peel the tough green outer skin off the rind and use the pale inner layer as a low-calorie, crunchy vegetable addition. Finding number 4. Watermelon rind carries a meaningful amount of potassium, an electrolyte most people don't associate with fruit rinds at all. And this is a mistake that costs people real hydration and muscle function without them ever noticing the connection. Here's something almost nobody talks about. Nutritional composition studies on watermelon rind show it contributes potassium alongside the flesh, an electrolyte essential for regulating fluid balance, nerve signaling, and muscle contraction throughout your entire body. Why does this matter beyond just general nutrition advice? Potassium works closely with sodium to regulate blood pressure and fluid balance across your cells. Many people, especially those who are active outdoors in the heat, lose electrolytes through sweat and don't fully replace them with water alone, since water without electrolytes can actually dilute what potassium you do have circulating. Watermelon as a whole fruit, flesh, and rind together delivers both water and electrolytes in the same bite, which is part of why it's such an effective natural hydration food during hot weather. And discarding the rind means leaving some of that electrolyte content on the cutting board. Someone who eats only the sweet center after a long hot day gets solid hydration from the water content alone, while someone who also uses the rind is getting a more complete electrolyte package from the exact same piece of fruit. Do this. On a hot day or after a sweaty workout, blend watermelon flesh and a piece of rind together into a natural electrolyte drink instead of reaching for a sugary sports drink. Finding number 5. The rind is extremely low in calories and sugar compared to the flesh, making it one of the more filling, lowest calorie parts of the entire fruit. And this is the finding that ties everything else together into one complete picture. Here's something almost nobody talks about. Because the rind lacks the concentrated natural sugars found in the sweet red center, it's meaningfully lower in calories and sugar by weight, while still contributing fiber, water, and volume to whatever you're eating. Why does this matter for how your body responds to food overall? Foods with higher water and fiber content relative to their calorie count tend to be more filling per calorie, since fiber slows digestion and helps trigger fullness signals, while sugar-dense foods tend to be less filling relative to their calorie load and can spike blood sugar more sharply. Adding rind into a stir-fry, a pickle, or a smoothie effectively increases the volume and fiber of the dish without meaningfully increasing its sugar or calorie content, which is a genuinely useful, low-effort way to make a meal more satisfying. Think about the difference between a smoothie made only with sweet watermelon flesh, which is refreshing but low in fiber and higher in natural sugar per cup, compared to the same smoothie with a portion of rind blended in, which stretches the volume, adds fiber, and softens the overall sugar impact of the same amount of fruit. Do this. Next time you're making a fruit smoothie, swap up to a third of the sweet flesh for an equal amount of rind, keeping the volume the same while lowering the sugar density of the final drink. So here's what we covered. The rind carries meaningful citrulline that supports healthy blood flow. It's genuinely more fiber-dense than the sweet flesh most people save. It brings its own separate set of antioxidant compounds to the table. It contributes real potassium for hydration and muscle function. And it's low enough in sugar and calories to make meals more filling without adding excess sugar. None of this requires a gym, a supplement budget, or buying anything new at the store, just using the whole fruit you're already bringing home. Pick one. Just one. Try it for 3 days. Save the rind from your next watermelon and blend a piece into a smoothie, or stir-fry a thin slice with garlic and a little oil, and notice what you actually think of the taste and texture. Come back and tell me in the comments what you tried and what you thought. I read every comment, and if this helped you see something you'd never noticed before, share it with someone who cuts up watermelon every summer and always throws the rind straight in the trash without a second thought. They need this more than you know. Next time, we're breaking down another everyday food scrap people throw away by habit, and the real research behind why it might be worth keeping. See you in the next one.